Learned a lot so far today. What I'd like to talk about is some interesting M&A activity. There's a South Korean company called Naver. Naver was founded back in 1999. It's been around for a while. It's the largest search engine in South Korea, and it's the fifth largest search engine in the world. And this company over the years has gotten into mobile communications. It's done alliances and actually acquisitions in Japan with messaging applications like Line. But what happened this month is that they went out and bought PoshMark for $1.2 billion in cash. So what is PoshMark? PoshMark is an American-based platform that is a social marketplace for fashion where people can buy used clothing and accessories. So it's this idea of reuse, right? It's headquartered in Redwood City in California, and it has an annual revenue of about $160 million. And it was founded in 2019. So it's relatively new, but it points to this trend towards turning kind of these thrift stores into digital platforms. Last year, Etsy did a similar acquisition. You know, Etsy is the kind of the crafts platform that's grown quite dramatically in the last number of years. It bought a resale platform called Depop for $1.6 billion. So we're seeing kind of an aggregation and consolidation. The Naver is interesting because, you know, Asia is not well known for reuse. Traditionally, Asian consumers really like new products. And so this has caught some people's attention that, you know, the Asian markets are shifting a bit to thinking more about thrift and reuse. In fact, there's been some recent articles about frugality in China, for example, and this being a new trend and something that more and more young people are gravitating to is not this continuous consumption, but thinking smartly about your purchases. Another interesting development this month was that Goodwill has launched a digital platform as well. You know, Goodwill's been around for 120 years. It operates 3,300 physical stores, but it is now launching a digital marketplace called Goodwill Finds. And there's some pretty amazing things. If you go onto their website, which I did yesterday, you can find a Louis Vuitton bag for $900. And you can also find a Chanel bag for $1,200. So they're not just doing, the secondhand T-shirts. They're going higher end and putting some very well-known fashion brands of items. But these are reused items, right? They're not new. They actually have had a previous owner. And so this idea of refurbishing and reselling is quite interesting. Now, Goodwill also, if you check out their website, they call it Shop with a Positive Impact. And they actually have a nice little section talking about buying used jeans. If you know anything about the jeans market is that a tremendous amount of water is used in producing jeans. And so they are promoting the idea that buying one pair of secondhand jeans can conserve more than 1,800 gallons of water. So that's pretty impressive, right? And so this idea of not just buying and throwing away things or leaving them in their closets, and in fact, there have been surveys done that show that people only wear 20% of the clothing in their closets. So that means 80% of it is just sitting there. So there's tremendous opportunities to get into what people are calling re-commerce, right? And taking items. And there's some really interesting platforms in this space. So Gazelle is a consumer electronics re-commerce company founded in 2007. It's headquartered in Boston, and what it specializes in is in consumer electronics. So, of course, these can also be reused. There are other, again, back into the fashion world, ThreadUp is a company that allows people to buy and sell clothes online, reused. They're based out of San Francisco. So this, I think, introduces an interesting idea. You know, the conventional kind of wisdom in companies was this idea of going green, but that was to just avoid negative impacts. But increasingly, they're thinking about moving into restorative or even regenerative. How do you actually improve things, not just stop things from getting worse, but actually improve the economy? So there's this new concept of the regenerative economy, and you'd be surprised at some of the big brands that have begun to embrace this. So Unilever, Nestle, Walmart, Pepsi, IKEA have all announced programs around this idea of not just reducing the negative environmental impact, but actually restoring and bringing back to. And this includes, things like reusing their products and recycling. So you can go and they have initiatives now, and there's kind of this new campaign. So I think, what does this tell us? I think that there's this bigger trend, and it could actually interface with talk you guys have mentioned already today, concerns that we're going to go into a recession. In a recession environment, people think, how do you reduce costs? So you could see, actually, just as COVID opened up new opportunities and ways in which we interacted and reshaped the nature of work, a recession in these day and age, plus platforms that allow for the connection of and discovery of items, could actually be a boost to this idea of re-commerce.